Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a chess show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Star, and today our distinguished guest is Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you very much for having me on again in my home.
Great to see you again. And so, tell us what's happening in Norway, the Super Tournament.
Yes, well, it's a very interesting tournament because it has an unusual format. The players play a regular classical game, in fact, now at a slower time control than the FIDE standard. And then if that game ends in a draw, they play an Armageddon game. So the first games of this kind, um, the first two rounds, all of the classical games on the men's side ended in draws, and and you wonder, well, are they just going to do that then to try to get to the real thing, the Armageddon games? The Armageddon games are played at 10 minutes versus 10 minutes versus 7.
So obviously it's
And
10
the
minutes
players,
for white and 7 minutes for black. And
yeah, the
black doesn't
players,
draw odds.
yeah, the 10 minutes versus 7 might be judged to favor black a little bit, um, because in other bidding type Armageddon games, the difference is a little more. But that they keep the same colors when they do the Armageddon, so that rewards black a little bit for holding a draw in the classical game. So let me share my screen because I'm actually going to do the Armageddon first. So I was saying that the first two rounds. So it's by the way, it's a double round robin 6-person tournament. Today is a rest day, so they will play 10 rounds total. And there's also a differential scoring system. It's soccer style scoring with reduced points for winning the Armageddon games. Okay, let me go and present my screen. Okay, entire screen, this screen, share, and now, so I have this all lined up. So what I'm going to show first is the round 2 Armageddon game after Nakamura held a draw as black in the classical game against Fabiano Caruana for a thematic reason leading up to the main games that I'm going to show. So can you see my Arena Chess GUI? Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so Nakamura plays black, Sveshnikov Sicilian. And so the theme of the Sveshnikov Sicilian is that black may be saddled with a weak d5 square, but can get active play on ancillary files and with pieces, even sometimes getting active play on the dark squares, which are ordinarily bad. Okay, so white plays maybe a relatively unusual. Instead of playing the knight to b5, white played the bishop there. And white is going to go for very strange tactics. Now, I must say I'm not an expert on the theory of this opening, so I'm just going to let the moves unfold. That's partly why I'm also not showing the chess.com GUI. And so right now, the e4 is the strong point in white's position, twice defended, twice attacked. Okay, so black expands. Black is going to put a bishop on b7, okay, and thereby increase the influence on d5 and e4. However, white castles, and both sides have, their pieces fairly well developed, so it's going to be a skirmish. White shores up the defense of the pawn and of the d5 square. So now Nakamura begins playing actively on the king side. So one of black's other themes in this position is to get in the move f5. But white tries to short circuit this in a very unusual way. And we're going to have some interesting tactical skirmishes. So first of all, black plays h5, rather so as to not have to move the f6 knight. And that's possibly in some lines playing h4 and knocking out a defender of e4. So white comes in and now defends e4 another time that way, also making f1 as a potential retreat square for the knight. Okay. So now black plays knight d4. Now black is starting to look like taking over the game. Knight takes f3 is a nasty looking threat. But black's kingside is a little bit Swiss cheesy, and that plays into white's move, which does get an exclamation point when I played this over on chess.com's board. So knight f5, a sham sacrifice, because black cannot take, white's queen would come in and give checkmate. And this forces black's knight on d4 to commit itself. And it could capture white's bishop, but in fact, black is going to be able to capture white's bishop and double white's pawns a different way. So if you capture white's bishop and white captured, the knight on f5 would be left there as a bone in the throat of black's position. Still can't be taken. And in some positions, white would be able to use the g file. So black takes off the knight and then takes off the bishop that way with the bishop. And now we reach a very dynamic position where white has terrible pawns, but white still has control over the d5 square, and black no longer has a light squared bishop. Okay, so white captures and is hoping to be able to use the looseness of squares around black's king, but black's queen on f5 is a really nice piece. White captures. Now we have the pure form of the positions. This is what I'm going to contrast when I show the classical game, Praggnanandhaa defeating Carlsen as black. So white has established that white has beautiful central control and squares, but black has activity, including an extra pawn after queen takes f3. And let me actually see what this old engine, Toga, thinks of the position. This old engine, Toga, thinks that white is doing fine. Okay, so the crisis, anyway, from what I remember, is not yet upon white. So white's rook is eyeing some weak squares. Black shores them up. Now white's knight uncovers an attack on the d pawn, but this is another theme in the Sveshnikov. Sometimes black is able to get in f5 and e4, and then black is a very dynamic position. So let me see what the old engine Toga thinks of this. Now the old engine Toga thinks that black has a definite one-pawn advantage. Okay, so I don't know exactly where white's mistake was. Just these positions can sometimes get out of control, especially in a relatively fast game. At this moment, though, both players still did have 2 minutes, according to the clock times that are showing. So I'm going to show the rest of the game because Caruana is still in the game until he falls victim to a neat little tactic. Okay, so white plays h3. White's just defending here. Okay. So now black is sort of poking at white's knight. Now black may be winning here already. Let's see. No, actually, that's right. I forgot. White has rook g3. A really interesting defense. It's like X-rays, because black is threatening this knight because black's queen X-rays white's queen, but the rook would then defend the knight by another X-ray after the trade of queens. So in fact, after rook g3, white is completely okay. It's going to become a rook ending. But instead, Caruana captured this pawn, and unfortunately, saw queen takes h3 check. Don't have to worry. If I take the knight, I'm going to get g6. But what Caruana didn't see was that splat. Knight takes rook and unguards queen takes e4. So that is how Hikaru prevailed at the last minute against the American rival Caruana in an Armageddon game. Okay. The real sensation, though, came the next day when Praggnanandhaa defeated Carlsen in classical chess. And I must point out that this is the first classical chess that Carlsen has played all year. He of course is regarded as hosting the Norway chess tournament. So some noblesse oblige to have players play on his own soil. So Praggnanandhaa marches onto his own soil and defeats Carlsen in really fine style. This strikes me as a really high order game. Like, it's one of the games that clearly tells me, that about depth in chess that I did not expand my own ability toward. So this is, I'm not sure what the name of this variation is, whether it's
Paulsen variation.
Paulsen Sicilian.
Yeah.
Okay, it will become a Paulsen Sicilian, I guess. Yeah. So after d6. So c4. So white does establish the Maróczy bind kind of position. And white is very soon going to provoke black into playing e5, which is what is going to give it some of the same character as a Sveshnikov position. So this move, knight e5, I don't know. I guess you can always take white's bishop on d3. So I guess that's the point of moving the knight there. White, of course, drives it back, and black captures on d3. So let me just peek and see what the old engine Toga thinks of this position. That only gives white a really minuscule edge. The chess.com engine gives white about 0.45 here. So this might be more substantial. Anyway, f5 is the move that is soon going to provoke black to play e5, creating a position where knights are arguably better than bishops. Okay, so now, so white just has pressure. It's interesting. I mean, the obvious move for black here is to castle. And let me edit and see. So the problem with castling, this is why chess is difficult, is that white is going to crash through with e5 and knight takes e6. Okay, uncovering an attack on black's queen. Okay, so that is the exact reason that this lineup of white's pieces uncovering the rook onto black's queen is what provoked Carlsen to play e5. But now Carlsen has a structural disadvantage in his position. So now classic two knights versus two bishops, and the knights really clamp down. So the one question is whether black can get a lot of counterplay on the dark squares in this position, given that black does have g5 available for the bishop. Now, king h1 was not actually the best move, according to chess.com's engine. Let's see again what Toga says. Nope, Toga likes it. Chess.com, the chess.com engine thinks that white gets about a 1.6 advantage by playing the knight into d5. In other words, the chess.com engine already thinks that white is getting a serious edge with this move, partly because it is able to evaluate the endgame after the trade of queens to greater depth and accuracy than the older Toga engine, which I used in 2008. So the one thing about king h1 is it does enable black to trade off his dark squared bishop. So now I just ask as a static matter, is this position really bad for black? And after poking around, I've reached the conclusion that the engines are right, and it is, but really for a very funny tactical reason. There's still no place to put black's king. You might find that very strange, but one logical place to put black's king would be on e7, but that allows white's knight to come into d5 with check. Another logical place to put black's king would be on f7, but then something like what happens in the game will occur. White will check on h5 with the queen, and there's no good place to move black's king, and the g6 interposition will just uncover more lines on black's king and be inadequate even pawn structure wise. So white's f pawn clamps on black trying to get g6 and king g7 in. So that leaves the possibility of black castling, but then white will very rapidly be able to play g4, maybe with the king on h2, where it probably would have been better to begin with, and begin an attack on the king side. So anyway, well, one other little detail that needs to be noted, of course, is that white's c-pawn was not hanging because of queen takes b6. So black shores things up, and white decides to shore up the c-pawn, so it's not hanging anymore. And Carlsen goes for counterplay. Okay, so again, I thought that maybe this would not be such a bad position for black. But in fact, there just aren't good squares for black's army. Carlsen never gets his army together in this game. Again, you can't castle here because white's knight comes into e7 and gives check. Black can't guard that by putting a piece on c7 because white's knight is covering that as well. So what Carlsen did do was say, well, I might as well get a pawn for my trouble, but now here comes queen h5 check, and after king f8, now the enduring final theme of the game is that black is kind of a rook down with the rook on h8. So now rook lift here. White doesn't care about a pawn. The rook lift actually is going to enable an invasion on the b file. And here especially, the coordination of white's pieces is just of a really high order. And what do you think the key attacking square for white's queen is in this position? Given that white has played rook f3 with the idea of lifting the rook to b3, where will white's queen be most effective? Want to guess? Oops, I wonder if things are frozen. Okay. Okay, so the answer is it's going to be on b1. So black captures, white captures, and then white plays rook b3, rook b4. Now white's other rook comes down to, and that renews the threat on the b file. So just a queen and rook each, but black's rook is in the corner. And here comes rook, queen d1, g6, hoping to get king g7 in, but black is not going to be in time because from b1, white controls the g7 square. And right now, I think Togo recognizes black as being completely lost. It does. Actually, it did for a bit. Now it thinks that queen c4 may have, but I think that's just a tactical lack of horizon effect here. Yes, beginning to see that queen c4 is worse too. Anyway, Carlsen played queen c5, and now white just closes the ring, and Carlsen gave up because it is checkmate coming.
Wow, very impressive display for white, who played Prague Nalanda. And something tells me is that, and I've heard it elsewhere, that this is probably the last tournament with the classical control that Magnus Carlsen is playing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'd look against such top players like Prague and others. He doesn't have really much of an edge. In Rapid or Blitz games, of course, he does because of his incredible intuition, experience. But in classical, I really don't. So look at he had a hard time with Karyakin and Caruana. Не помню еще эти special case. So I really don't see his great advantage in classical games. Unlike in Rapid and Blitz. So I think that if he can't win, and it appears to me that I don't remember when last time he would win a classical chess tournament. I don't think that he's going to play it for a while.
Yeah. Well, he still has Sitzfleisch, and that's exactly how he beat Caruana yesterday. So we go into that. He beat Caruana on the last move. So I'm going to parachute into the middle of that game. So I'm going to present to my screen again. So here we are. So yesterday's round, all three games in the men's section were decisive. And then I have a game by Vaishali teed up for the to represent the women's section. So this was again, a pretty normal, Gioco piano, where interestingly enough, both bishops were traded on e6 and e3. So you have this really stolid pawn formation in the center. And according to chess.com's value bar, for most of the game, black had a very slight advantage. But I would say really nothing serious. Okay. Some more space on the queen side here is probably the best way to characterize it. So players dance around, and what's in the cards here is a trade of black's b pawn for white's c pawn, and then all the pawns being on the same side. Which
Are you showing the diagram?
Oh yeah, I am. Oops, is it not working?
Yeah, I'm trying to guess what position you're describing.
Okay, it's Caruana Carlson yesterday.
Okay.
White's just took a pawn on b5. You don't see it?
I still don't see the board.
Oh, okay, let me stop sharing and try resharing. So, okay, present, share screen, entire screen, over here, share. Now, do you see, let's see, let's see. Now, do you see?
No.
Oh, okay. I shouldn't have come out the chat. Still not?
No.
Okay, let me try it once more.
Okay.
There we go. Let me try it this time, taking this tab and then onto my side screen so that it won't be directly in the way. And then, okay, let's see now. And now present, share screen, entire screen. And now it's this. And now let's see. Now maybe it shows the boards directly now.
No.
Still not. Let's see. Huh. Oh, wait. Are you seeing me or what are you seeing?
Yeah, I can see you. And
you can see me. And that's, yeah, there's, I see in this thing, I see two options here. But now let's see. Oh, yeah, it's very strange. Let's see. Board. Stop screen, edit name. This is remove from stops, edit no. Okay, no. Huh. All right, well, do you know what? I'll go to the chess.com board then.
Okay.
So you're seeing your face, and so let me now bring this back. Whoops, uh-oh, here it is. Okay, now you still seeing yourself?
Yeah, and yourself.
Okay. All right, so now I go to the chess.com Norway chessboard. Now you're seeing Norway the chess.com.
Not yet. No.
Yes?
No.
No. Okay. Huh. Round 5 classical? No. All right, let me try once more to present. We need Mark, I guess. Let's see. Share screen. Well, it was bad luck that I came out to. Well, let me actually try sharing just the Chrome tab of Norway Chess.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you see that?
No.
No. Huh. Sharing this tab to StreamYard.com. I guess give it a little bit. So anyway, the point is that all three games on the men's side and 2 of the games on the women's side were decisive, and Caruana lost, although I think in a really difficult position on the very last move of the game in a queen and pawn ending.
Yeah, okay. They're very difficult to play.
Yeah, they're very difficult to play. Okay, so still really not seeing.
No.
Oh, wow. Okay, wait, let's see now if I, because I see it here and I see it grayed out. Yeah, so that's, it's funny. I see the tab that I want, and it's remove from.
Okay, now I can see only myself. Hello, Ken. Well, today Ken is experiencing technical difficulties, although in the first part of the program he was able to show us beautiful games, and especially one that Carlson lost. And while he's trying to get his system working, especially he wants to show us one of the games that Caruana lost to Carlson. Because prior to that, I voiced an opinion that Carlson doesn't have that great edge in classical chess as he has in Rapid and Blitz, and it could be that this is the last tournament with the classical controls that he's playing. I could be wrong, and we'll see what's happened. Okay, Ken, how's it going?
All right, so there I am. All right, so now let's see if I can share one more time here.
Okay, let's go.
All right, share screen, Norway chess. Okay, so this now, do you see a board?
No, I don't.
Still not. Okay. Yeah, well, it was bad luck that I came out briefly and was not able to come back in. Okay, so
It worked at the beginning of the program. You did quite well, and you were able to show us the beautiful games that Prague won against Carlson.
right.
Oh,
But
now
the game.
something.
Are you seeing it now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So all right. So let me so what I've been doing, I had previously I was in this position when you were not able to see the board. So maybe we just need to be a bit more patient. And so this leads to a position with all the pawns on one side of the board. But Caruana acquiesces, or somehow is forced to acquiesce, to Black getting a passed pawn. Okay, so trying to get off the queens. So, this position really ought to be drawn. There's no doubt about it. Minus 0.116 advantage to Black. But right here, Carlson initiates a trade of pieces that leaves a queen and pawn ending where Black has a passed pawn and is a pawn ahead. And I'm not even sure objectively this is drawn. I've known some positions like this to be winning. But because it's very difficult to defend for White, because White's king has mating issues as well. And Black is able to make progress, although at the cost of a pawn. So this was the fateful position after Queen A6 check. And now White can hold only by playing Queen A2 check, which looks like a suicidal move because it's going to allow Black's pawn forward. So White thought, oh, get the king off the back rank first, and Black's pawn is going to come forward. Yeah, but now there is no way to keep it up. I don't know what Caruana thought he could do, but the problem is that White's king is going to be mated on G1. So Caruana had to give up. Magda's still king in classical chess. Meanwhile, Ding Liren lost a very bad game to Ali Reza Firouzja, where, I don't know, it's sort of, again, didn't know what to do against the London system, the notorious London system. So now this is a very instructive position. What Black needs to do is play C4 first. Okay. And if White plays A4, you can play B5 as well. Okay, White can't benefit. Drive White back. And then you have this move. And White's not going to be able to come through the center the way has actually happened in the game. So Ding Liren's idea was not too bad, just the timing was wrong. Okay, so now C4, you think it's going to be the same thing. But now b4 move isn't going to work because the b5 move isn't going to work because um, black is already committed to trades on the other side of the board, and the bishop on e4 is under attack. So the tempi aren't going to work. So anyway, so now in this position, white is a pawn ahead, and now Ding Liren plays another plan that is just miscalculated. Okay, and this looks like a total crush. Had to play the king out of the way to unpin the rook and unpin the pawn. And queen e4, I thought was a good move at the time when I saw it. Apparently, queen d6 check is even stronger. There's nothing wrong with queen e4. And Ding Liren Gent going on tilt comes in, and well, now white is just attacking. And you have to calculate a little bit that there isn't a mate here. So let's see. Why isn't there a... black's king is in check. Okay. And white just tucks the king away, and nothing more to do. So the last game of the round was Hikaru winning in a very controlled manner against Pragg, and I will just scroll a little bit of the opening, and then I'm going to jump ahead. So Pragg actually, in the confessional, Pragg played some very challenging moves and involved a peace sacrifice. And then while he was being interviewed, they have something called the confessional booths, which is secure, where you can be interviewed about your game while it's being played, while your opponent is thinking in a difficult position. So here's where it starts to get a little bit mistimed for Praggnanandhaa. But he thought that he could respond to Hikaru's knight f5 with this knight sacrifice. It's not clear from his confessional what he missed, but especially since white does have another strong move in this position, namely g4. Okay. But apparently what Pragg calculated was this, and then being able to counterattack with rook e2. And this looks quite strong because, if you take on e2, then black is going to force white to trade queens, and then we'll win white's b pawn and get enough. Actually, no, it'd be just a perpetual check. So if white takes rook, black plays check, white has to go queen f1, and black goes queen f4 check, queen d4 check, perpetual check. But maybe what Pragg missed is this Zwischenzug, and that completely keeps control for white. And this needed a little bit of work, but white is able to keep the piece up. It took a little bit of time, but finally, in the end, Pragg played into a checkmate and resigned. He totally lost anyway. White will play rook takes h5.
Very interesting checkmate.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let's see for the development of this beautiful tournament. I slightly disagree with the formula that you get 3 points for a outright win, and then the system gives you 1.5 if you win Armageddon, and 1 point if you lose Armageddon. So it's kind of in this system, there is a 3-0, one possible result, and 1.5 against 1 in. So the idea is possibly to encourage people to win outright the game. It doesn't matter if it's color, yeah?
Yeah, it's sort of the opposite of hockey overtimes, which I think encourage people to draw.
Exactly. Yeah. So what happened if they would use more like a hockey system where they would, for winning Armageddon, you would get 2 points and 1 point for losing it. So it would steal equilibrium of 3 points for a game, either 3 versus 0 or 2 versus 1. What's wrong with this system?
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. I don't. It's a very good question. I guess we need to interview other people about the system. In any
Okay.
event, it has produced some very exciting chess in the classical rounds. And I'll just mention that Vaishali, who went on tilt in the middle of the candidates, losing five out of six,
Yep.
and then one or no, losing four, and then winning her last five games, uh, is right now leading the women's section. And she played a very nice game against Humpy Konaru, which included at the end trapping Black's queen and something a little reminiscent of the position with Nakamura that I just showed.
Hmm.
So,
Can you imagine what would make their mother so happy if both of them would win their respective tournaments? That would be a unique story for chess.
yes, it already was fairly unique that they were in contention in the candidates, but yes, it would.
It
And
would.
Carlson said that he wants to, he wants to use the few remaining years when he'll be able to beat the younger generation. So this again was a very attacking game. I mean, I don't really know what's going on here. I could look at the evaluations. We've traded some minors. Uh, White has attacking chances against Black's position. I think this is the game where I had in mind to say, though, that it illustrates the theme that sometimes when you attack, you help your opponent. So Konaru is attacking, but all the attacking moves she makes from this point on create defensive moves for White that really help White's position. So first, let's firm up the king. Now we're going to be able to castle by hand. So it's going over here. Whoops. Oh, I'm very happy to castle by hand. I'll guard e3. That's okay. I'm firming up in the center. You attack it, I'll guard it. All right. You guard your b pawn. It's going to drop off anyway. You're not going to be able to guard it forever. Okay. You're attacking. Well, yeah, it's a good move, but now I have a nice O-O-O position on the queen side, and I'm going to start moving in the center. Okay, so you've helped me there too. And then, maybe Black was ahead, especially after this move, but you're playing moves again that are helping me. Now your b pawn is going to drop off. Okay, there it goes. Keep attacking. Okay, I don't know why queen c3 is a bad move, but it just seems like White's pieces keep on improving their positions. And now, how is White's rook going to get into the position? Oh, the answer is, you opened up a trade of pawns, fine. My rook on a1 will take advantage of it. And then, whoops, now your queen is dead. So it seems like Konaru really helped Vaishali play her moves in this game. Maybe it's worthy of further examination that way.
It was a famous saying. I think it was a Grandmaster Korchnoi. He analyzed a game of his friend, another Grandmaster, but I forgot the name exactly. And he kept attacking, and eventually he even lost his game. And Korchnoi said that, look, you are a much better player because of rating and so on, considerations. But you don't allow him to make any mistakes. You almost make him to do the only moves. So
Right.
how you can outplay somebody who is making only perfect moves? You have to let your partner play.
This is an aspect that I'm trying to measure with my analytic model, but I have not perfected it.
I see.
It's an idea that Kasparov liked when I described it to him in 2013, but here it is 11 years later. I still haven't tuned it right. That's what my graduate seminar investigated.
Very interesting. Ken, how's your availability next week?
I have my surgery on Tuesday, so I'll be blotto.
You will blot out for all that.
Yeah, I'll be out. Yeah.
Okay. So
but the week after that, I might be recovered enough.
Bravo. Excellent.
Okay.
Wish you a speedy recovery, and we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks, I guess.
That's right. Yep. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a great summer.
All the best. You too. And please get well as soon as possible.
Right.
Thanks.
Okay. All right.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye.